the names are big. The action is slow, and the outcome is always in doubt. It's a crime drama, and let's cast our minds back to October 1990. I had a little bit more hair than I do now, and I'm thinking of going bald, guys. There's the revelation for the day. My wife would hate it. She said she'd leave me if I went bald. Don't you think bald men can be attractive? I mean, come on. I just throwing it out there. Anyway, we're talking the little things. October 1990. A case in Los Angeles 5 years earlier involving the murders of 3 young women found naked with their heads covered in plastic was never solved. The serial killer remains on the loose. But it did cost the lead detective, Joe Deacon, played by Denzel Washington, his job, his marriage, and his sanity. Burnt out, he's since gone to pasture as a sheriff's deputy in Kern County, which is a couple hundred kilometres away. Lives a relatively quiet life with only a dog for company. Suddenly, another murder with parallels to the first 3 appears. And this guy's captain, is known as Deke, Joe Deacon, Deke's captain sends him back to Los Angeles to bring home the evidence. There, in spite of wanting to keep his head down, he's welcomed by some and distanced by others. At first among the latter is the guy who replaced him, Homicide Department Sergeant Jim Baxter, Rami Malek, who's determined to solve the crime. But unable to make headway, he soon invites Deke to tag along, as yet another bloody murder goes down. Deke takes leave from his job in Kern County to try to put an end to his own obsession in drawing down the shutters on the cases that have continued to plague him, now driven by these new developments. He zeroes in on a crime-obsessed loner called Albert Sparta, role filled by Jared Leto, who frequents strip clubs. Sparta, well, he's no friend of the cops. He leads Deke, and more particularly Baxter, who's under increasing pressure to find the perpetrator, on a merry dance. This is quite a long film, Dave, 2 hours, 8 minutes, and I put it to you, it could have benefited from some prudent pruning. How do you take it?
Yeah, I think it could have. I don't know that the problem for this film, though, laid in the storyline or the screenplay. I thought the screenplay actually worked quite well. It's, you know straight away that when the screenwriter sat down to write this film, he wanted to write the next 7. I don't think he gets anywhere close to 7. But my issue with this movie was more about the casting. I thought Rami Malek was really horribly cast in this film, and I hate saying that because he's a good actor, but I just didn't ever believe him in him being a police detective. It was just one of those times where I sat there and went, did nobody notice this during the production, that this guy really doesn't come across believable as a police detective? So yeah, for me, I think more of the problem laid with the miscasting rather than anything wrong with the screenplay.
Oh, look, I agree. I mean, he lacks spark. For the most part, has this expressionless face. He looks out of place opposite Denzel Washington, Greg.
A little bit there, but I agree with Dave in some ways that John Lee Hancock is obviously trying to create another 7 here, and there are obvious parallels between the two, as structure, its narrative arc, even the relationship between the central characters, the Denzel Washington character and the Rami Malek character that you're talking about there. It's not quite as dynamic as that between Morgan Freeman and Brad Pitt there. And you also get that gloomy cinematography and those flashlit rooms and the graphic crime scene photos. And I agree with Dave that John Lee Hancock has missed the mark in recreating another 7 here. You also get the cat and mouse game there between the killer and the detectives there. And Jared Leto obviously downplays the role, which makes him seem a little bit more creepy here as well. I agree that Rami Malek looks a bit uncomfortable and a bit miscast there, but Denzel Washington brings his usual dignity and intelligence to the role there as a flawed and emotionally damaged Deke who's haunted by that past case and trying to prevent his younger protege from making the same mistakes here. I thought Malek did a good job, but as I said, he's a bit uneasy here in the role, and Leto is quite creepy there. But the 7 parallels are fairly obvious for me.
Well, look, nothing happens at pace, Peter, and the writer and director who has been referenced, John Lee Hancock, who did Blindside, draws matters out unnecessarily, gradually teasing out Deke's backstory in the process, and I dare say many will be disappointed with the outcome. I probably, when I say that, you're probably going to love this. Go on, tell me.
Look, I found it an interesting film. Yes, there are parallels to Seven and to some extent Zodiac and other serial killer films. I think what John Lee Hancock has tried to do here is to look at the psychological interplay between the three main characters who you've already spoken about, and looking at the sort of forces that might be driving each of them. And of course the story surrounding them about the deaths of these women. I found it actually quite a plausible and well-made film. I didn't mind the slowness because it carefully developed its characters and the period that it was set in 1990 in particular. And I like the sort of the music that goes with it, and just the whole feeling of the film, I think, worked well, especially considering that morally the film is quite ambiguous, especially the way it ends.
Well, Washington is his reliable self, even if he doesn't set the screen alight, and I thought Jared Leto did eccentric very, very well. It's sort of his sort of role. He's got the showiest role, hasn't he, Peter?
Yeah, I think so, but he's used to playing those sorts of roles, and he always does it so well.
Well, look, to me, the dynamic between Rami Malek and Washington was lacking, and that was a problem. I mean, overall, I think it's a bit of a mixed bag. It's intriguing to a point, but not entirely satisfying. Dave, score out of 10 for a movie which is called The Little Things, rated M, runs for 2 hours and 8 minutes.
I'm going to give it 6 out of 10. Love the script. Just thought that Malik was a little bit of a miscast there.
Gregory King.
I'm with Dave, 6 out of 10 for me as well.
And Peter Krausz.
I like the little things that are implicit in the storyline. I gave it 7 out of 10.
And I'm giving it a 6 out of 10. So 3-1 we win. Is that right, Pete?
Oh, it's a battle. It's a contest.
Oh, it's a battle. That is The Little Things.